Start out with writing inequalities, equations, and expressions. So our vocabulary for today, something you already know about, inequality is a mathematical sentence that compares expressions. And before, you have constantly been told that when you're making a comparison, that means an inequality. So it might ask you to compare these numbers. That means you're going to tell me if it's less than or greater than. So those inequalities contain the symbols. And again, they did mess up on this. It's just mark out that A there, okay? So inequalities contain the symbols less than and greater than. And today we're going to learn two new symbols, and we'll go into a little bit more detail in just a second. These two new symbols are less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. They have a line underneath. It's part of the equal sign. So number 2. Less than. We're going to complete this chart. So the symbol is less than. And some of these key phrases that you would see for less than are less than, or fewer than. And we've talked about these two phrases before in other lessons. And that's when it meant subtraction. And that is when it meant a switch phrase. But it's not asking for you to do subtraction right now. It's just asking you to do a comparison. So don't forget that right now we're talking about comparison. So this isn't related to our other lessons when we were talking about subtraction with key phrases. Cool? All right. So again, this is a comparison, not subtraction right now. All right. My next one is greater than. And you know the key phrases for that is obviously greater than. What's another one? Well, for greater than. Greater than.
More than.
There we go, more than. So again, the next two are new. And this is something that you need to what? Learn. What do we call when we need to learn it?
Study.
We need to study it. So these next two things are new. We need to study it. Here we go. We're talking about less than or equal to. Now there's some keywords for less than or equal to that you got to pay attention on, and I'll put a star by them. Obviously, one of the keywords are less than or equal to. Then I'm putting a star by this one, at most. Some of you are like, but Miss Jones, this is dealing with less than. Why would you write most? That should be greater than, right? But because it says this word right here that I'm underlining, at, it's telling you in our thinking that we're switching it around. At most, it can't go past this, so it has to be less. So at most means less than or equal to.
My question is, how do you know when to draw the line under the thing?
When it says less than or equal to. That line is part of an equal sign. It's the bottom line of an equal sign. That's a great question. All right, so putting another star, it could also say no more than. So it can't go past a certain number. It has to be less than that number or the same as that number. So if it says no more than, it also means less than or equal to. Get it? Got it? So now we're going to do some of the same thinking, but we're switching it around. So it will say greater than or equal to.
So it's like the same thing.
But we're switching it around. This is going to say greater than or equal to. Putting a star by it, it's going to be at least, because the word at, that's what you need to pay attention to. At least means greater than or equal to. And then my next star, we're going to say no less than. That also means greater than or equal to. Today, when we are doing our lesson, we're going to keep on looking back at these phrases. Okay, so keep this paper out. Don't put it away when we're done writing on it, okay? Because you'll keep on looking back at this. So just like what we're going to do on this guided practice, we're going to look back up here for our key phrases. It says a number f is less than 4. So a number f is less than 4. Underline that key phrase. Less than. Obviously, what sign am I dealing with? Let's go find less than up at the top.
Found it.
Oh, there's my symbol. So I'm dealing with f is less than 4. A number k is at most -8. Underline your key phrase. What's the key phrase, guys? At most. Good job. Thumbs up when you know what it means.
I also have a question.
Okay, I'm going to put it in my pocket for now, okay? Because I might answer it. At most.
You supposed to add that
Mm-hmm.
equal thing,
Mm-hmm.
or less than and your equal thing.
That's right. What is it, guys? Less than or equal to. So that's the sign that I'm dealing with. And let's write our variable k and our integer -8. And then the next one, we got a product. What does product mean? Multiply. Obviously, we're multiplying. I'm multiplying what?
Nine and W.
And how could I write it?
Oh, and you write 9, then you write the W. then
That's
you write
right.
that thing.
Yep, 9 and W. And then what's my key word for my inequality? At least. Thumbs up when you know what at least means. Go back up to the top to make sure you know what you're talking about. It's not going to be less than or equal to. What's it going to be?
Greater than or equal to.
Good job. Y'all are really good at this. All right, so greater than or equal to. And what's my integer going to be? 6. So my next one, what does sum mean? Add.
So you're gonna add your greater than?
Well, hold on. The sum means we're going to add the sum of 10 and j. What am I going to do to 10 and j first? Add them. Is more than. Now we're talking about inequality. More than, I go up to the top. More than means greater than 12. So we're only going to do 1 through 4 on the practice problems. Everybody, let's go to the top. Don't forget to keep on looking back here at your key phrases to help you know what to do. So looking at 1 through 4, let's start off with 1. Write an inequality for the word phrase. So because it said write an inequality, I know I'm dealing with less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. If it did not say write an inequality phrase, that's when less than could be subtraction. Okay? All right. So 15 is no less than. Go find no less than. Thumbs up when you know what no less than means. What does no less than mean?
Less or equal to.
No less than. Go double check. No less than.
Less than or equal to.
No less than. No less than.
Greater than or equal to.
There we go. Greater than or equal to. A number G. So that number is going to be represented by the variable what?
G.
G. Y'all be careful. All right, number 2. Write an inequality. So I know I'm dealing with an inequality. For the word phrase, the product. Product means to what?
Multiply.
6 and H. So I write it as 6H. Is more than 12. Well, go back and find what more than means. Thumbs up when you know what more than is. What's more than?
Greater than.
Less than or equal.
So just more than. It didn't say
Greater
no.
than.
It's just more than. So what's it going to be?
Greater than.
Greater than. I'm glad we're talking this out, guys. So remember, pay attention to those keywords that said more than only. If it would have said no more than, then it would have been less than or equal to. Okay? You're still cool. This is how we got to attend to precision. This is how we got to be precise, okay? You're still cool? We got this. All right, moving on to number 3. Write an inequality for the word phrase. The quotient of 3 and x is at most negative 24. So quotient, obviously, I'm what?
Dividing.
And it's dividing 3 and x. So 3 divided by
X.
x.
At most.
Is at most negative 24. Well, I'm not sure about at most. I'm going to go back to my notes. This is something's new to me. I got to go back to my notes. What does at most mean?
Less than or equal to.
Less than or equal to. My next one, write an inequality for the word phrase. Negative 5 is fewer than 6 less than a number K. Now, you will not see this one on our state test, but you will see this again next year, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about it. It says fewer than, and we know we're writing an inequality. Well, because it says the word is, we know if it's right by the word is, fewer than means that's going to be my inequality, okay? So negative 5, what does fewer than represent? Let's go find fewer than.
Less than.
Less than, okay, because it was by the word is, okay? Then it says 6 less than a number K. Now that looks like what we've done the last week and before Thanksgiving break. 6 less than a number K. Anybody know what sound I'm about to make? Ring-a-ding-ding, what is it?
Switch phrase.
Switch phrase. So 6 is going to go at the end instead of the beginning. And now this less than means what?
Greater than.
No, this less than right here means to subtract. So now it says K minus 6. You should not have one like this on your state test. You may have it on your benchmark. Because remember, 6th grade and 7th grade are very what? Alike. They're very similar. Okay? Things we're doing now, you will do again in 7th grade. All right. So we're done with this page. Let's flip over to the back. Don't forget, we'll keep on coming back to look at this. So now we're on to graphing inequalities. So again, an inequality is a mathematical sentence that compares expressions. So we're talking about comparison. So a mathematical sentence that compares expressions. Now this is bringing in yesterday's lesson. We talked about a solution. Solution means it's an answer. Solution means it's a possible answer choice, okay, when it says solution set. So you're going to be given the set of numbers, and I'm going to use a number symbol because sometimes they might say, what could the values be? So a set of numbers, a set of values that make an inequality true, an inequality statement true. So we're trying to figure out what could these variables, these values be. We're trying to figure out what could they be. And these notes that we're about to do, guided notes, it's going to seem confusing again because this is what to you? New. Let's get through these notes, and I promise when you get to the guided practice, it will start making sense a little bit more, okay? So just write down these notes, and we'll refer back to them as we do the guided practice. So you cannot write all the solutions to an inequality like x is greater than 6. Because this is what we're talking about above. What could the solution set be for x? What could the numbers be for x? What would have to be greater than 6? Well, if I think about what's greater than 6? 7, 8, 9, 10, to infinity,
And beyond.
okay? That is why you cannot write all the solutions for it. Because it can be so many numbers, we would be here all day trying to figure it out, and then we realized we would never get done with it, would we?
No.
Okay, so we're not going to write all of them, but we're going to write some of them, okay? You cannot write all the solutions to an inequality like x is greater than 6. So the graph that we're going to use is a number line, and you can see it all on that guided practice. The graph, which is a number line of an inequality, shows all the solutions of the inequality on a number line, because what we've learned before about number lines, if I take a sneak peek at these number lines, we see our arrows at the end. Because it has an arrow at the end, I told you that that means to infinity.
And beyond.
It goes on forever.
It's less than and greater to.
Yep, they also are less than and greater than signs, those arrows. So, an open or closed circle represents whether or not a number is included in the solution set, okay? And this is where it gets a little bit like, what do you mean open and closed, Miss Jones? Well, this is what I mean. Let's draw a circle right here. An open circle is used when a number is not a solution. And when there's a number that is not a solution is when you have the less than and greater than sign. Then you have a circle that is closed. A closed circle is used when a number is a solution, when it is a solution. That's including that number. When you have something that is including a number, it is talking about that number, any numbers less than or equal to. That's why we close it, is because it's including, it's equal to that number. So less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. This will make more sense once we get to the bottom. So our steps on how to do this are numbers 4 and 5. These two are our steps on how to do the guided practice. And these are our steps on how to do our guided practice. So to graph an inequality, first mark the number on the number line with the open or closed circle. Then shade the numbers in that are solutions, that are the values for the variable. So we're going to add something to this, then shade the numbers in that are solution for the variable. That's right, for the variable. Hope you have a great day. Bye. All right. So, looking at this guided practice, graph the inequalities below. Here we go. This is where all of the notes from above is going to start making sense. My first step is to graph an inequality. We first have to mark the number. Well, what's the only number that we see here?
-2.
-2. I see -2. Cool? I'm going to go mark it with a circle. -2. Mark it with a circle. Now, do we need to have an open or closed circle? Well, look at my inequality. My inequality is less than or equal to. It's closed. That's right. It's closed. Look up at your notes. This is how I knew it was closed. I went up top. Less than or equal to means it's closed. All right, so less than or equal to means it's closed. Now, all I did was just mark my number. Then it says, then shade the numbers in that are solutions for the variable. Well, my variable is G. So it says G, those numbers, because remember, variables represent unknown numbers. What could these numbers be? What could G be? What is less than or equal to? Well, we know what is equal to -2. Well, that's the opposite. You're close. -2. So that's why we close that dot, because it is equal to -2. But what is less than -2? What are less than -2? What numbers are less than -2?
5.
Think about it. -3, that's right. -4. -5. Okay, so do you see how I shaded that? All of those numbers, I have to shade it. All of those numbers are less than -2. I'm going to put the letter G above my shaded arrow because that's representing all my numbers to infinity and beyond. It can be -6, -7, -8, to infinity and beyond. All right, so here we go. Follow the steps again. We're just going to keep doing this over and over. Here we go. My steps are mark the number. Well, what's my number?
Zero.
You're still cool. 0. I'm going to leave it open because it might be closed. I don't know. Let me look at my inequality. Is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle?
Open.
Open. It's open. So I'm not coloring it in. Now I need to ask myself, F. What is F representing? What numbers is F representing?
0.
Okay, well, it would be 0 if it was what? Equal, right? Does it have an equal symbol underneath that sign? F has to be greater. The numbers have to be greater than 0. Well, guys, tell me some numbers that are greater than 0.
1, 2,
That's right.
4, 5.
This one goes all the way to 5.
Yeah. Well, it goes infinity and past 5 because we have this arrow at the end that says go, keep on going.
That's what I'm confused at.
All right, well, we're just going to keep on going. It's going to take a little bit, okay? All right, so my next one, do y'all notice how they have the number first now? Okay, that's no big deal. Find my number,
2.
2. Put a circle around it. Is it open or closed? Close it. Now I need to ask myself, because now they have the number first. And I know my variable represents unknown numbers. 2 is greater than or equal to K. 2 has to be greater than or equal to all of these numbers. So if 2 is the greatest, if 2 is the biggest, that means all of my other numbers are what? If 2 is the biggest, these unknown numbers are
Less than.
less than. So now we're going back this way. So I've had a lot of people have a misconception. They misunderstood this part. And what I mean by that is they weren't reading the inequality statement. They were just looking at the sign and they went, I gotta go this way because the arrow points that way. I gotta go this way because the arrow points that way. Oops, I gotta go this way because the arrow points that way. Did we go that way? No. All of our possible values for K go to the left, go less because 2 had to be the what? Biggest, the strongest, because it was the greatest, and it's equal to. So do not count on those arrows to tell you where you need to go. Those arrows are inequality statements, and you have to read it from left to
Right.
It matters on when you have that variable first, and it matters on when you have that number first. So be careful. I did mess up, and I forgot to put F above this one. All of these can be F. Thank you for telling me I'm still cool. All right, keep on practicing. 1 through 4 is the same thing that we just did, okay? So, first, looking at my steps, mark the number. What's my number?
2.
Positive 2. Oh, I like it, saying positive. There we go. Is it open or closed?
Open.
Open. That variable is representing some unknown numbers. But I know those numbers have to be what to 2? What's that sign say? Okay.
Great.
It's in a positive direction, yeah?
Greater.
Those numbers have to be greater than 2. So what's greater than 2?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
To infinity and
Beyond.
And all of this arrow, I shaded it, all of that represents possible values for X. All right. Start it over. What's my number?
3.
What kind of 3?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Because of what?
Because of the sign.
The inequality sign says close it. It's saying it's equal to, it's including negative 3. So I know this X represents my unknown numbers. I don't know what they are yet. Let me think about it. My numbers that need to be shaded have to be less than or equal to negative 3. Less than or equal to negative 3. So what's going to be less than or equal to negative 3? Negative 3.
Negative 4. Negative 5. Infinity and beyond.
Yep. Don't forget to label that variable with that shaded line so I know. Because when we are writing with our pencils, it's the same color. So that's why I'm making sure that I know that this arrow over here is the X, okay? When I put the X above it. You're telling me which direction you're going. Because sometimes our pencils are the same color as the black number line, okay? All right, here we go. Graph the inequality. 4 is greater than D. Well, what's my number?
4.
Positive 4. Open or closed?
Open.
4 is greater than D. 4 is greater than my possible numbers.
So you have to, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
4 is greater than my possible numbers. So what is greater? What's the greatest right now? What number?
5.
No, 4 is greater. 4 is the greatest. 4 is
So it's
greater than those numbers.
3, 2, 1, 0.
That's right, to infinity and
Beyond.
that one we had to think about. The reason why we had to think about it is because they put the number first instead of the what? Variable. They put the number first instead of the variable. And all of those numbers represent D. What's my number?
Negative 1.
What kind of dot?
It's closed circle.
It's including negative 1 because it's equal to it, okay? So my numbers, G, my numbers have to be greater and equal to negative 1. So what are some numbers that are greater or equal to negative 1? Negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to infinity and
Beyond.
okay. So we're almost done learning about our new lesson. Then we're going to have a little bit more practice coming up, okay?
Okay.
So here's what's different. Do you see how they gave us the number line? Well, now we got to write the inequality statement. Now, on a state test or on your benchmark test or on your test for this in my class, you won't have to write it, but you will have to recognize it. You will have to read it, okay? So I'm going to look at this lovely number line, and I'm still going to follow those same steps. They already marked my number. What was the number that they marked? 1. And if they don't give you a variable, guys, that variable is always going to be x. So I know my variable is x. So I have a positive 1 and I have x. What is this number? 1.
Greater.
It's greater, right, than all of these numbers.
Yeah.
So 1 is greater than x. Now, do you see how I put my number first before my variable? Well, I could put my variable first and then my number. There's 2 possible answer choices for this. So now, same thing. Ask myself, what is x to 1? What are all of these x's to 1? Less than. So 1 is greater than x. X is less than 1. Those are equivalent to each other. Those are the same answer. We just wrote the variable first for one of them, and then we just wrote the number first for one of them. That's why up here we have to pay attention to what it's asking first. Get it? Got it?
Good.
All right. So we're going to write 2 answers for 6, 7, and 8. And I told you that these arrows that are shaded represent what variable? X. So this is what I had a lot of people do last year that helped them. Okay, you ready? They went, oh, okay, I know I got to write an inequality statement for this. My number is -3, and my variable is x, and Miss Jones wants me to write it 2 ways. So those 2 ways, I first have to have a number first, and then I have to have a letter first, a variable first. Okay? So far I got 2 ways written. Is it complete? No. I still got to write my inequality with it. Now, I need to be careful with my inequality here. My inequality, why do I have to be careful with it?
Because it's less than the first.
It's
Less than and greater than. Less than and equal to.
It's equal to. It's closed. So I know that I'm going to have a line underneath my what?
Variable.
I'm going to have a line underneath my sign. Okay? So let's ask ourselves, when the number is first -3, what is -3 to all of these numbers?
It's
-3 is less than or equal to x. Because of that dot is what? That dot is colored in. That dot is closed. It's equal to because it's what? Closed. Now, what is x? I'm reading from left to right. What is x to -3? X will be greater than or equal to. Because that dot is what? Closed. It's colored in. So when that dot is closed, it's going to have an equal to symbol underneath it. All right, let's do 7 and 8. I know I'm going to have to write it 2 ways. My number for 7 is what? Oh, number. 3. And my variable, my letter, is going to be x. Write it the other way. X and then 3. Now, am I going to have a line underneath the symbols here? No. It's open. All right, so I can get after it. What is 3 to all of my x's possible solutions?
Greater than.
3 is going to be greater?
No, less than.
3 is going to be less. It's to the left of all of these x's. 4, 5, 6, 7, to infinity, and
Beyond.
now switching it up. What is my x's? 4, 5, 6, 7. What is 4?
Greater.
greater than what?
3.
3. Okay?
The next letter is 0, but it has an equal to because it's shaded in.
That's right. All right, looking at number 8. Some of you are getting excited about it. I know my variable is going to be x. Let's
But
write
it's
that.
equal
And
to
then my number is going to be what?
0.
And then switch it around. 0 and
X.
x.
Then you're gonna add that.
Line underneath because it's what?
Equal to.
Equal to is including it. So I need to know which way I'm dealing with. So my x's, -5, -4, -3, -2, -1. It keeps on going forever. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. What is that to 0?
Less than.
Less than or equal to. Because it closed that dot. Now 0, if I read it 0 first. 0 is what to my x's?
Greater.
Greater than.
Or equal.
Or equal. That's right. Then my x. So guys, this is all we're doing for the rest of class today. Over and over. So in just a second, we're going to solve this sheet. The front and the back. And then we are going to look at this sheet. We're first going to solve 1 through 7, and that is our classwork today, 1 through 7. Tomorrow's bell work will be 8 through 13. Same thing on the other side. Look back at your notes to help you solve this. When I turn this paper over, it says write 2 inequality statements to help solve it. You will only do 1 through 7. You can look back at your notes to help you solve it. And what it means, write 2 inequality statements, is how we did 5 and 8 on our notes. So you can write, look back at 5 through 8, numbers 5 through 8 on notes. We hope y'all feel better. Y'all have a great day. See you later.